It's Simon, and it's a Saturday night, a little bit before midnight, and I had a request to do a video on how to set a trailing stop limit on a option, which I've done before, I thought, but apparently I did not. So I'm going to do that real quick for you. Um, so first of all, we need to go to. So right now it's Saturday, so there's no market open, and I can't do this while I'm actually trading because I kind of move fast when I'm trading because of time, and so I can't don't really have time to explain things while I'm doing it. On something like a instructional video, I can explain things while I'm actually trading, but it's easy to explain what trading stuff while you're trading, but not explain how to do things while you're trading because it kind of needs to go slow in order for people to get it. So I'm gonna try to make it on the weekend. I can't actually I can't actually set the limit, and it doesn't really do anything once I set it. But I can show you how to do it, and then I'll cancel it because it won't go through anyway because it's the weekend. So anyway, I have Norton LifeLock, and I actually bought this last year, and it's got a really long expiration date of next year. But there was some article that came out randomly that they might be that there was some interest in acquiring them from McAfee, and so I went and looked at to see what kind of options they had price wise, and I found some really cheap ones. And so I bought a really cheap call option for Norton. I bought 25 of them actually, and I paid like I think it was like $300 to $400 for all of them. And I actually plugged this into an options calculator to see what kind of return I would get, and the return was quite a lot for something that potentially could happen. If it did happen, it would be a lot. The return would be pretty high. So I decided to go ahead and just buy them. The investment wasn't that much, and the risk. So to me, the risk isn't very high, and the return outweighs the risk. So and it wasn't tying up much money, so I decided to go ahead and do it. Right now, they're actually making me money anyway. I think they're like a buck 50 each. What is what they're making me? Um, and they've been going up, and earnings are coming up, and some other stuff's happening. So, but anyway, it's a long term hold, so it's not like I'm interested in selling it anytime soon, unless something happens with a merger or an acquisition. So anyway, so in order to do a trailing stop loss, I'm just going to do the example on this because I have it. I'm going to right click on it and do a create closing order. And when I do that, I'll just click on the only option that it's available, which is the sell 25 Norton LifeLock. And then once this pops up, it actually switches you to the trade tab, which is up here. And then it gives you the normal sell. So then you just click on this limit order and you click on trail stop loss. Trail stop or trail stop limit are your two options. And I always use trail stop limit. I know some people just use the trail stop. And I think the trail stop limit isn't actually an option on your thing unless you have your advanced options turned on. And I have a blog post that actually shows you how to do that. And I'll link to that in this video so that way it's not, so you're not confused of what I'm, and it also tells you a step by step on how to turn that on, the advanced options. So anyway, so you click on trailing stop loss, and then I set it for a percentage. And if you've read my blog, I always set it for 5% at first, and then I'll slowly tighten that up as the option makes more money. And I won't actually set the first trailing stop loss or trailing stop limit until after the option is profitable. $100 is usually my starting point. And then each $100 move up, I'll move this down a little bit. And I'll show you how to do that too. So I'm just going to go ahead and do this one. So let's say this was making me $100 right now. And I wanted to set a 5% trailing stop loss or trailing stop limit. Confirm and send. And I just do a send because there's really nothing like you can change. So now I go to Norton LifeLock, which is here, and I'll actually open this up so that you can see it. And so now I have a trail stop limit. And so once this thing starts making more money, there's two ways to change this. You can either go back to the original trade tab and click on the sell, so it's actually showing you where the option is. You can right click on the sell here or here, and you can do a cancel replace, and then tighten this up by hitting it 1, so you'll only do it 4%. and hit confirm and send, and that'll cancel the last one and reset it. So now you're looking at a 4%. And then the other way to do it is actually on this actual chart too. You can right click on the actual balloon and do a cancel replace. And then and you can even tighten it up again to 3%, which is what I would do at $300 profit. And then hit confirm and send. And then it cancels the last one and then shows you. You can actually check by holding your thing over that, and it actually shows you that you are on a 3% trailing stop limit. So that's how you do it. The one thing that you do need to know, I'm going to cancel this. The one thing you do need to know is that even on a put, so let's say I was doing this on a put, whenever you do this, your trailing stop and trail stop limit is always a negative number. So if I clicked on plus here, I can't increase this to a positive 1% or positive 2%. It's just not possible. You can only do a negative. And so that's the only thing, even on a put, you can only do a negative trailing stop, because the trailing stop is always underneath whatever price you're trading at. So even if you're trading a put, your price is actually going up because you're making money, because your delta is negative. So you're making money at this point. So you always want to set your trailing stop loss underneath whatever the price is trading at. So that's something that you just want to keep in mind. And like I said, you can't mess it up, because if you keep going up, it'll just stop at 0 and it won't let you go anymore. The tightest I ever set it, and that's usually about $500 profit. I usually set it at 2%, and that just helps me keep more of the profits. So at a 5%, there's been situations where I've had a $500 profit and set the 2% trailing stop, and then when it finally stops me out, my profit's just over $400. So I still lose a good bit of $100 with a 2%. So, but I've tried a 1%, and a 1% stops you out immediately. So there's no point in doing that. I've tested that out. So don't do that, because as soon as you set that, it will stop you out. So anyway, so I'm going to delete that now. And so now I don't have a sell. But that's how you do a trailing stop on an options. So I hope that helps you. And if I'm kind of rambling, it's because I'm tired, because it's late. But anyway, I hope you guys are having a good weekend, and I'll see you next week sometime.